do what it do.
We'll have to figure it out.
As we
live now?
Shit, I guess we live, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Somebody go check and see if they can hear us.
I can't even find the damn
Because it
thing.
just went live.
Well, listen, if we're live, listen. Welcome.
Black folks
Man,
live.
welcome everybody back,
With duct tape
man.
and everything
We
else.
kind of had to figure it out the day we was reaching for the stars and fuck around and hit the moon. But
We're beyond the moon. Can somebody who's watching us tell us if you can hear us without the microphone? Can you hear us? So Danielle, you can hear us?
Somebody here.
It says we can hear you. Beth Ann says we can hear you. Thank
Awesome,
you, Beth
thank
Ann.
you. So we don't, but I kind of like talking on the microphone. It just really makes
Oh
it
man,
beneficial.
come on, man.
So because of that, I'm definitely going to keep the microphone going.
Goddamn
But
party over.
are you doing your happy
So
yo-yo?
listen,
Money.
welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. We're kind of rigged up right here, right now. Man, we were off for Labor Day, so
Happy holiday.
we're back again today. How was everybody's weekend?
Thank you, man.
How was everybody's weekend?
I think, well, no.
Mine was nice and lazy. So it was nice. I didn't have to work, and my cousin turned 50, and I took her to breakfast on Sunday, so that was nice. Got to see her, but it was nice and lazy. It was good.
How was your weekend?
I have to admit, it was non-productive. Very, very non-productive.
It was very rainy.
Wow.
Very rainy.
Well, happy weekend, everybody. Happy Monday, to say the least.
You really
I kind of feel, because I feel official with this microphone. I really
Man,
feel
somebody
like,
get this thing.
no, so this is me right now. I'm on the microphone. It was a great weekend for me. I mean, it was busy. You know, I worked like 20 jobs.
Yes.
And Saturday, I worked 2 of them, and it was just a great weekend. Congratulations to the Browns because we beat the Steelers on
Take your
yesterday.
ears off the mic.
It doesn't matter. I want the microphone. However, even though we won, happy Monday because we beat the Steelers.
Well, actually, the Browns did finally end their losing streak, and which ended with a tie. And how Cleveland out there.
Yeah.
Right. So why don't you sit down while you talking stuff that you're just not capable of handling? So that's what happens when you try to talk against the Browns. You get tripped up, like what happened to the Steelers. However, today's show, we have so much in the news, and so we decided, you know what? Let's just talk about the news. We were going forth and back
Beth Ann
about
says your
topics.
official is extra.
Thank you. We were going back and forth with topics, and we decided, let's just discuss the news, because there's so many things that people have to talk about and get off their chest about all these great big headlines. But there was something that I wanted to talk about. It hit the news, I want to say last week, in Wisconsin. A young man was detained by some officers. He was handcuffed and placed in the back of a squad car. The moral of the story is this. So there was a young black man who went to church with his white grandmother and the white grandmother's friend. He was in the back seat and the grandma's was both in the front seat. And the police pulled them over and detained him because they assumed and thought that he was robbing them. However, as that was going on, there had been a earlier report that there was 2 black men robbing older women. But before I even release you guys to make your comments, let's not forget that an African American couple are the ones who pulled the police officers aside and said, hey, there is a black guy in a car with 2 white women, and we think that they're being held against their will. So before y'all say this, that, and this of other things that go on, you need to understand that it was his cousins now that turned him in.
So let's get this straight. There's no proof backing that there was the black people. That was actually stated by the police officer that, oh, they were black. And he kind of said it chuckling like, oh, they were black. Crazy, right? No, they weren't black. He made that up. If there was a robbery, his camera, why did he follow them so long before pulling them over? See, he followed them. If they show you the video, he followed them so long before pulling them over. And she said, that's my grandson. This is my friend. She's like, why would somebody say something like that? And he said, there were black people who said it. He said, and he laughed. And she said, oh, that's crazy. And everybody knew that was a lie.
Hey, lie or not, all I'm going by is what is written on the internet, and everything on the internet is the truth. So
It's
I
all
just
that.
found that to be very interesting that they would assume that this guy was robbing these two women.
And he was tall, man. He was about 6'1".
Sir, you're gonna have to speak
What
up.
that got to do with anything?
I'm just
He said he
looked
looked
like no
dangerous.
kid.
No, but he didn't look like he was
He
robbing
had a
anybody.
beard, man.
No, you see him in the back of that car?
Yeah.
Oh, he's describing me. Hey,
In today's world, you really cannot. I mean, we all should not stereotype anyone, but in today's world, you know, definitely if you see a family is white and black.
Mhm.
You're always going to see. I mean, especially now, you can look around
I
your
think it
own
depends
neighborhood.
on-
You definitely see it someplace else. The grandparents can be white and the children are black. The grandparents are black. The children are white. I have it within my own family.
I
You
think
know
it
what I mean?
depends on the geographic area, though. That
Wisconsin.
That predominantly happens in certain places. In certain places, you don't see that mix, and that happens more often than not in a lot of places. Like Canton is one of them, for one.
Yeah,
Flat out.
I
Flat
have
out.
that in my family, so you don't know.
Flat out, people need to mind their business.
Absolutely.
Mind your
But
business. So we got nosy black people
No, you know they know. That's why you used to sleep with the
But
doors
if
open
you-
this look, so they can see everything that's going
Well, they
on.
say if you see something, say something. My only thing is, why is this officer arresting him, literally handcuffing him, before the woman is saying,
Before
"This is my
investigating.
this is
Right.
my grandson." You already got him in handcuffs as if he is a criminal.
But this is the crazy thing, though. When they got him in the car, the lady said it's a misunderstanding. The cop still came back and asked him for his ID, asked for all his information. First and foremost, your stop is now void. Like, you have no probable cause to be asking me for anything if that's what they're providing. Whether they're saying they're doing their due diligence or not, it's already have been identified by two people that this is her grandson. So why are you still asking them for information, running information to make your stop valid? That's what they do.
But what the cop would say is, because if this person was being held against their will, and then maybe you told him to say this, and then if I just say, go ahead and go on your way, if those two women are then accosted, hurt, then they're going to go back to the cop and say, why didn't you investigate more? But my thing is, you can investigate without having someone in handcuffs.
That's
They
what the
could've just
investigation.
They could have just pulled him off the
Yeah,
car.
that was the investigation. Having him outside the car to question him. Therefore, if it was a problem, they would have been safe because that cop was there. The only person who was in fear for their life during the whole thing was the
It was the
kid.
boy, yes.
Boy, how old was it? I didn't get to see how old
Wasn't he
was
like,
he?
what, 17?
He's a teenager.
He was
I-
17.
No, he wasn't on 17.
Yeah, he was like 17.
He was raised on churches, you know.
You know, they were
The
leaving
kids is
church.
bigger. Yeah, so you know
The
he had
Catholic
churches.
church.
Mind your business.
I don't know so much about that, but at the end of the day, the police officers would never be right or never be wrong, because if they would have just kept driving and they were really being detained, then that would have been, well, we saw that, we reported it. So there is no win in the situation other than that it could have been handled a little bit different. Like they could have asked, they could have pulled them out. It could have been handled a little bit.
Man, you know what could have happened? Them people that called could have mind their damn business, man.
You said it's not ever wrong, but cops use the type of excuses like this all the time to stop full cars of people, saying, "Oh, that we heard that there were a shooting." That gives them probable cause to search anybody in the car, because if they just pull that person over for speeding, everybody in the car don't even have to get them identification. They just have to identify them.
Well, when I said that, they're never right, but there's always going to be that they use too much force, which we've seen, and then they didn't use enough force, or they didn't take my call serious.
Right.
So the police
But when do you
officers,
see
they have
that?
a very hard task at hand.
No, they don't. They make their task that much more
Well,
difficult.
this is just according to what we see, but what about the times where somebody called and reported an incident and they was like,
Yes.
ah,
Please
they
let's not
overdid
address
that.
let's not address
It's not an easy
protocol.
job.
Let's
We
not
know
address
that.
protocol.
It's not an easy job.
When
It's not an
protocol
easy job.
isn't always taken into taking its place. It's not. They don't always utilize protocol when they're doing certain things. We all know that. So let's not say that's their protocol to do that.
No, I'm not
because they
saying
don't.
that. What I'm saying is their job is not easy, period.
Is your job
Their-
easy?
No, honestly.
My point
no,
exactly.
but what I'm saying is our jobs isn't publicized. Our jobs isn't where society can take what bad cops do and now everybody hates cops. So in every job, every situation, there's good people and bad people, but to every cop, it's not easy.
right.
That's what I'm
This is
saying.
the problem I got with this. You're a cop. You're trained to make judgment calls on the fly.
Right.
On everyone's job, we are.
No, but a cop, you're dealing with people's lives. It's a little bit different. The training is a little bit different. So you mean to tell me you can do all this training and be trained for that, but you can't use common sense? It's common sense. If this woman says X, Y, and Z, this is my grandson, That's common. It's
Well,
common
I'm not
sense.
justifying the cops and their actions. All I simply said was their job isn't easy in society.
But
in
that's
media,
making
makes
an
it kinda
excuse.
difficult.
You're creating an excuse for them.
I'm not creating an excuse for them. I'm saying
You're right.
that in general, it's a difficult job to do, and everybody that does it shouldn't be doing it. But moving on.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
Okay, you have a
But
point.
because I don't want us to be like moving on.
Yeah.
Let's go up the street. Can we go 77 North? So a few weeks ago, this happened at Bahama Breeze. You know how
It was
everyone
actually in
loves.
July.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Okay. So, but I just saw
Might
a
have been in
post.
June.
Yeah.
So a while ago, up
June
77
Right.
North.
In July it occurred,
Uh-huh.
but they just filed suit.
But that's why
last
it went
week.
public. Okay.
Yes.
So at Bahama Breeze, at these old chain restaurants, you know how people like them, there was a group of black sorority members that had came together to eat at this restaurant. And the restaurant manager had seen this group of black people,
Right.
sat them down at the table, and he called the police because he was under the assumption that this group of black women were going to come dine and not pay
And dash.
for their
Right.
foods. And so, of course, they paid their bill, everything was done, but the officers stayed the entire time that they dashed.
Well, they did not
They
dash.
died.
That they died.
That they dined. I
Right,
apologize.
right,
That they
right.
dined.
Okay, hold up.
That they dined. And the whole reason why I want to talk about this is we're so quick to go crazy on Bahama Breeze. But my question
I've
would
never
always
been
be,
there.
I don't, my question would be, what would make this manager react in a way when he sees a large group of black people?
Well, first,
I don't think fear has anything to do with it.
Yeah.
oh, I do.
It's all
First of all, these women want to, not only their sorority and they are black females, but they are also all over the age of like 28 years old. These women are between 30 and 40 years old. Some are lawyers, doctors, professional women, all professional women. They come to the restaurant. They were there for over an hour before they had been seated. So as they were talking and all those sorts of things, and they do not say that they were upset for not being seated, but the thing was they had made a reservation. So they were supposed to have a private room. They get back to the private room. He has called the police and said that he overheard them saying they were not going to pay a bill. They're saying that absolutely never happened. He had called the police. When they got their food, not everyone even received their dinner. Not everyone received their dinner. The police officer is there. They bring out the bills. They say, this is ridiculous. When they find it now, the police officers are there. They're saying, we never said we were not going to pay for our meals. We haven't even really truly eaten our meals. And the thing was, when they got seated in the private room, the manager had come out and said to them, no one can leave this room. Not even to go to the restroom, is what he said to them. You are not allowed to leave this room until the police officer shows up. So he has called the police officer before they've actually even ordered any food. So then the police officer comes. Yes, the police officer comes. He stays in the restaurant. They have ordered their dinners, what have you. Only some people get their food. They decide, this is not even worth it. We're leaving. The police officer, he says to the police officer, I want you to check each bill and make sure that they've paid each bill. Now, that is discrimination.
So, but here's the thing. Go ahead, guys. Because before I make that
Jump
comment.
into all of that. First of all, that's kidnapping. He can't tell a group of people they're not allowed to leave any place.
Right.
Secondly, this is where people say blacks overreact. I would have most certainly said, F this place. I'm not eating here. I'm not talking to this cop. I'm not doing none of that.
Right.
I'm leaving. Regardless of the fact, we've all been places, and I hate waiting in line, and we've all been places where we've waited longer than we wanted to. Like, I'm about to get up out of here. I'm not waiting here no more to eat. Screw this place. The waitress come over with a nasty attitude. First of all, his job as a manager to manage his people. Hey, make sure they pay their bill. That's absolutely it. This could have played out so differently. This is borderline what CVS.
Right.
Yes, it is.
And there was two managers, and the other thing was they have already been sued. Bahama Breeze was sued 4 years ago by African American workers, over 40 people, who said they were degraded and spoken down to and treated, called outside of their names, called the N-word, that sort of thing. So they've already had this situation at not from this particular Bahama Breeze, but by a different Bahama Breeze that was under the Darden name of restaurants.
Hold on, before you go ahead, Mike. You got something to say on this situation?
So here's what I'm saying. The reason why I wanted to talk about this is because we're so quick to jump the gun and we see that this manager did this, did that. But how many times have we gone in restaurants and we've seen a large group of our cousins them, and we like, I ain't even gonna go here. I'm not about to deal with this. They loud, they ignorant. Heck, we even got people who, but this is all I'm saying is, we even got people in our family and friends who we will not go out to eat with because they complain about everything. They'll eat this big old steak and then they'll send the steak back. Then they want it off their bill. All I'm saying is we need to change us sometimes.
Okay.
Yes. No.
You can hold a group of people responsible for others.
Right.
We're one group of people, but we're all different individuals. And to
Right.
hold us responsible for others people's actions just because they're African American.
All what I'm saying is this one right here. We have sometimes I remember when I was younger, I dined and dashed. So don't act like we have never dined and dashed
never
before.
dined and dashed.
Oh, well,
I
you're
did when I was
perfect.
younger.
You're
I'm not perfect. I'm
You're
definitely not
perfect.
perfect.
But I remember going to Perkins after Images.
Yeah.
And we would
I'm
we were all eat, and half of us didn't pay.
No, I've never done that.
And I'm not saying that it's just a black thing or anything,
No,
but what I'm
it's
saying
not
is
a
there's
black thing.
sometimes people overreact, but at the end of the day, sometimes some things we went out to eat a few months ago. Remember? We had a large group of table. How many people at the table complained and went crazy on the
yes,
manager?
they did.
But you have a right to, if you pay for food and this doesn't taste good, you have a right to complain for that. The restaurant signed up for that. They know that. You're not the only person complaining about that food. You have a right to do that. You're paying for a service.
Right. This particular thing. This is not the right subject for you to try to turn it.
Right.
It's not about people. This is even when I see my cousins in them, and I have had a couple situations where I've seen, as you said, some of those folks, and you look and I'm like, oh gosh, I don't want to deal with this. But I'll tell you what, I didn't go outside of my car and call the police on them. I know they about to act up. No, you don't do that.
Them acting
You
up
don't
and
do
them not
that.
paying the bill.
And these
was
people
two
never acted up, and they
different
never
things.
didn't pay the bill.
Not at all.
This is ridiculous. Let's jump into the next. I just think that's ridiculous. I do. I think it was taken too far by the manager.
Of course it is, but
It was
isn't everything that we
taken
do?
too far.
Let's talk about the state, Baltimore. Baltimore opens up, they invest in $35 million in a youth detention facility. And
You know where it's at.
it's in the hood, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So
Go ahead.
before we even go on, you have $35 million to invest in a youth detention facility, and you can't create better housing for them. You can't put them in. You can't take that money and do something to develop. That's the thing. Crime happens where?
Everywhere.
Impoverished areas,
Impoverished
But
predominantly.
it
Yes.
happens
This,
everywhere.
you've been to DC, Baltimore.
I lived down
You know
there.
where it's happening at.
Absolutely.
And
I
that's
lived
but
there.
what's the most alarming thing to me is you create a detention center. You ain't creating
Yes,
another prison.
exactly.
You're about to arrest these kids. You're about to institutionalize these kids.
Right.
Guess what? Because you're already creating a chain. We don't even need to read those things. They can put that $35 million in their failing education system, and guess what happened? They'll get better students.
But the whole article said that the main reason why they built this detention center was because when juvenile borderline adults create crimes, instead of putting them in adult penitentiaries, they are building this as a rehabilitation center, and it's a state-of-the-art center, and they are designing it to make sure that they're able to take the children that are kind of on the bad road, to hopefully that this detention center will get them on the straight and narrow. So it isn't that. Yes, it's in a poor neighborhood, of course. Yes, it's $35 million. Yes, we look at it as a negative thing, but the whole program is not to put these children in adult prisons where they're fighting for their lives, where they're raped and all those other things happen to our youth, to the young children in prison. That's with adults. But how it's like being at Faircrest. It's an extended Faircrest. It's nothing but an Indian River. That's all it is.
But that is a prison.
It is a prison. They created a crime.
The Maryland Public Safety and Correctional Service Secretary Stephen T. Moyer says Friday that we intend to use the facility to help change the lives of our troubled youth. Changing the lives, though, does not mean to institutionalize them. If that is the case, before you can cause trouble, before you can actually break a law, let me be reaching out to you, and you can take your $35 million institution and let me get you in and get you a part of these things. So it takes you off of the street so that you would then want to do things like sell drugs and break the law, break into cars. Let me reach out to those kids who are troubled. And the thing is, you can see that from people who are 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th, 10th, before they get to be, as you're saying, be 17, or before they actually break a law. So
hold up, but this is where I want to go with this, because you're already taking troubled kids to make them feel like they're already in trouble by putting them in a prison. That doesn't help. If you were smart, you would have took this $35 and invested in some $35 million and invested in some type of building for it. Not like help build them, help develop them, create programs for them, show them a better way to lock them up.
There are.
There's
the Y, there's the Boys and Girls Club. There are programs, but at the end of the day, these children committed a crime, and if they've committed, but is that?
Have you never committed a crime?
Oh, I've done crimes. That's why I tell people all the time. I've done things. So I have done poor choices that has come up in future that has hindered me from doing different things. However, if you commit a crime, there is a reaction to everything that you do. So yes, they built this $35 million prison to keep the kids that's killed somebody, to keep the kids that are still children that has done horrific crimes from going to a real adult male institution.
First of all,
the thing is, though, why are we waiting? If you have $35 million, why are you waiting for them to commit those crimes? You could be using those monies and those dollars. And I'm not saying that these things are happening, but you're bringing it to the poor system. There are some people who are coming up in a very nice neighborhood, very nice home, who's also committing crimes.
That's correct.
You're not going to build no $35 million institution in their neighborhood because you know what? We want to help little Johnny. Well, the first time when I seen he went, because you're trying to help him. And the thing is now you're helping me after I've been. And the thing is about kids who are in trouble, when they go out and steal a car, they've already stolen the book. Somebody's already known to recognize, hey, these people got some troubles. There's some things going on here. Let's go in there and start trying to get these programs. When you say there is the Y and there is the Boys Club, but it's not in that neighborhood.
There is everything.
It's not there with anything.
You can have the same program, but you need to start changing some of these laws. Some of these laws that's locking these kids up and putting them in the penitentiary. If you didn't have some of these laws putting a 13, 14, 15-year-old, I understand the crime. But some of these laws automatically put them in.
True.
So if the laws automatically put them there, now you have to have these kind of programs to back those laws. You feel what I'm saying? So
I get exactly what you're saying.
So,
and I'm not downplaying anything that you guys say.
Before we jump in that, because you said something because they have committed a crime, but what did he say? Lean on me. He said, "Discipline is not the enemy of enthusiasm. If you treat them like animals, they will act like such."
Exactly.
So if you're going to continue, but if you're going to continue to do that, then you will create. You're creating a monster. But they stopped. Prison stopped reforming so long ago. Yes. There's nothing reforming about prison. You just go there, you're around a bunch of people, your peers, you become a better criminal. That's it.
Prison's never.
They used to have the education. When they go to school and all of that. When they had all of that, they let them.
But what difference do it make if you get reformed in prison, you come out, you're still a felon, you can't make it on the outside world?
But see, a lot of them used to get that education to come out and create their own way. They can no longer do that now. Now they can't. They can't do that
There's
anymore.
a penitentiary in Chicago who has now. He only has one side of it though. He only has one side that has been reformatory. But it's a lot of people there who are like, no, you shouldn't be doing that. Who really try to work against him. He was on 60 Minutes. This was just last year. So there is in Chicago. There's a state prison, only one. But he has this. He's like, people need to be reformed. Need to be able to do this and that. And he's working on it, but of course he only has a small number out of all the people that are there.
They don't want him to do better. They don't want great out of, that's just how society sets up. But let's talk about society for a second. Let's talk about the officer in Dallas.
Yes.
My mind is just still puzzled behind the way it all rolled out, what happened. So you come home from work from a 12-hour shift.
Yeah.
Who hasn't? You go up the steps.
They don't say. Okay, go ahead.
They go up the steps. And to my understanding, there was a jiggle at the door trying to get in. So the person on the other side of the door, the young man, the 25-year-old man, opens the door, and immediately there's a shot fired.
I thought she was in the house.
See,
she shot him when the door
as soon as the door opened.
When he opened the door, she shot him.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so then that was the big question mark. Now she made a statement and they removed the statement. So we don't know really what.
Because it was an open case and her being a cop, she
Right, and it's still an open case.
Yeah.
It's still
But they
something
charged her with
open.
manslaughter.
But they said they may make
Which
it
should be
murder.
murder.
But I don't know if I believe it should be murder. Because
Why
murder
not?
doesn't, because murder is intentional. You plan a murder.
You went
No,
to
you
this
don't have
house.
to plan a murder.
No, that's
There's no such thing.
premeditated. That's
Yeah.
premeditated.
There's no such
But
thing
how
as
you gonna
Even
jump out
if,
the back of the
right,
door?
but even if it's not, this is my thing. It's I don't know what happened. None of us truly do, and so I've been at work before, and you're exhausted. Even if someone said, "Did she ever have drinks after?" You know, we don't know that yet.
But
We don't
even if
know.
she was drunk,
But
her whole
even if
job
she-
go out the window.
Right, even if she was, either way, she was still off duty.
Absolutely.
But you know,
But
she's
But
in
you
still-
can't be drunk with your service weapon on.
But in
Yes,
uniform.
I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. They said she was still in uniform. They're not even saying that she was drunk. She could have literally just been tired, whatever. But my main thing is this: and they did run one, so we don't know what that is yet. Either way, she's going to prison. My thing is,
You sure?
even if she's going to prison, she's going to go to
You
prison.
sure?
Yeah. I really do. There's no way for her not to go to prison.
I've
But
seen
this is the
crazy
thing.
things.
This is the
Go
thing. Though, by going into someone else's house, she is at fault already because she walked in. But have you ever been someplace? Not to say you got turned around, whatever. I've never not known where my house was. What I'm saying, but if I still live in an apartment. But the point is, you come in and you're startled. It's just that you're startled. Your first thing is like, is this person? And not to say I have no idea what's running through her mind. But the fact that you're already disillusioned, that you don't realize this is not my house. That the person opens the door, I first go to do this. Even though it's easy for us to say, or people may think, well, because she is a police officer, that automatically means she knows she's definitely got her gun. She's definitely going to be able to. The gun can go off in anybody's hands. I don't care if you're a police officer or not.
Let's take some steps back.
And I'm saying take your gun out. When you took your gun out, but you're not really prepared. You're not like a police officer. You're just trying to say in defense of, you know what I mean? I just feel like it's just a horrible accident that went wrong. Not to say that I don't think she's not guilty,
Accidents.
but I do think this act, because I didn't know where you were. I'm thinking you're an intruder.
Okay,
and
hold on. Now let's take
And
it.
it's horrible.
Let's take
Somebody
two
lost
steps
their
back.
life.
Because even with the story, how the story is presented, there are far more questions than there are answers. To say that she went to the wrong door, which she is on the wrong floor,
Right.
stuck a key in, and the key did not work. The guy opens the door,
That's why I didn't
and
know
he
this
is shot
was-
immediately. Not once, but twice.
He got shot twice?
He got
Yeah.
shot twice. He was shot twice after opening the door. Now he's an intruder. That's my thing. That as far as
He's
getting a
not.
toxicology report,
Yeah.
first and foremost, was she drunk? And if she was drunk, first and foremost, she's murder automatically.
Yeah, if she was drunk.
But even if she's not drunk, murder automatically.
Calm
because
down,
you're acting.
Pitbull.
No, I'm not a pitbull.
You know
But listen, but she came to a house that wasn't hers. There's no way you can sit there and map that out. Somebody's dead now.
Yeah, we get that. We get that. But my
Maybe
question.
says they were dating.
That's what I said.
That's what everyone keeps
Is that
saying.
what it is? But they wouldn't say that. Where did she
They
find
were
that out?
not
Because
saying that. I don't
I
know.
read everything
Maybe
about this
they're
article.
trying to find this out.
I couldn't find anything.
But that's
Something is
that's
not right.
speculation. That's what everybody's trying to figure out. What was going on? So
My- but-
Pastor.
Right.
they need transparency in this.
I didn't see anything
Ain't
about
Ain't
him
nothing
being a
wrong with the
pastor.
pastor. No, he wasn't a pastor.
No,
he
he
was.
was not. No,
He went
he's
to a
not
Christian
pastor.
school. He was a
He
very
went to
devoted
Christian
Christian.
school. He was
Trying to be a pastor.
No. He was very involved in his church.
You so ready to throw a black eye to the church?
people
You just
get-
said,
Yeah, he was
"Hey."
very involved
The
in
black
his
guy
church.
put a church on themselves.
Yeah.
The other ones just ain't black.
Anywho, but my question is,
Oh, Mandy says they have pictures of them together.
Oh, snaps.
so that changes everything.
Look at
Now that
Raina.
goes back into.
She said fake news.
Raina says fake news, but we don't know. All I know is
She should be charged with murder.
But if you're that tired, if
I
you're
just don't know
that
why you're that
tired,
tired, yeah.
how could you drive home?
You've been working 12-hour
You
shifts for
walked
5
up
years.
steps.
You're not that tired.
You walked up steps.
she worked there for 4 years. Yeah.
So-
I don't know how she didn't know whose apartment it
not
was.
adding
It
up.
doesn't make sense.
Something's not adding up.
I
I don't give a
don't
fuck
know.
how drunk I am. I don't go to the wrong door and put my kid in the wrong. Oh, I don't.
Oh, Terry Owens. Right. Terry Owens says that was not him in the picture.
Oh, see, Mandy. But how
And then
about?
Raina says there's a big game of telephone. Too much speculation, and he said, she said. We don't know
Man.
yet. We need to wait.
No, we don't need to wait. The only thing we know
real
is
things.
he dead.
He is
She
dead, and that's
allegedly went
awful.
to the wrong house.
Right.
And that was it.
It's awful.
My thing that would
There's no
help
reason
this
for this
is
man to be
they
dead.
need transparency for this whole
Oh, she's
thing.
calling in. Someone's calling
No,
in.
that's a. number in the chat. So there's so many questions. I can't wait to see how. But I want to go
You
over.
have to call this.
I want to go over. I'm gonna go over California. So this. I forgot to list this for you guys, but I thought it was hilarious. He is being charged with 11 extortion for dining and dashing. He's labeled the dine and dash dater. So he would meet all these women and he would take them out to exquisite restaurants and he would take them out to exquisite restaurants, and when the bill came, he would leave.
He was going to the bathroom or something. He was in the bathroom, man. I use the bathroom.
That's my hero.
I mean, women been doing this to us for how long? Now they want to press charges.
So he like, look, let me get a steak, lobster, shrimp,
everything they do.
Oh my
babe,
gosh.
I'm going to the bathroom. I'll be right back.
Everything that women been doing to us for years. Now they got him on 11 counts of extortion.
I don't blame
What's the extortion part?
Yeah, what's
The extortion is he asked the woman out, and then he took her and then she took her for this dinner. He's taking her to this big fancy dinner, and then she's got to pay. So you extorted.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
I mean,
He should have played the I forgot my wallet game.
but no, why should the woman assume that he was going to pay anyway?
Because he asked her out.
That don't matter. The folks ask to go out there all the time, and they sit back like,
Right. Can you buy me something?
No.
the dine and dasher. So this 10-year-old, folks been doing it for years. Now they going to jail over it. So this little 10-year-old boy is being punished for calling his teacher ma'am. So the teacher reportedly told the 5th grader that if she had something, she would have thrown it at him. And so according to the reports, she had asked the student not to call her ma'am, and he continued to call her ma'am.
Was she in her 20s?
It didn't say anything.
She was older. She should have respected it. When she was younger, don't call me man.
And I think that's what she said.
But no.
She did tell him.
But how old was she?
But
It doesn't matter.
Right.
But this is the thing. I have nurses that are older, and I'm like, oh my, I'm like, ma'am this, ma'am that, and that's just kind of how I go at work. And like, don't call me ma'am. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry, man. I'm like, I'm like, listen, if I call you that, you're going to have to ignore it. I apologize. And that it's just as simple as that. She should be happy that kid has manners.
Respect, yeah, but if she asked him, don't call me, because a lot of people, like you said, some people say, don't call me ma'am, I ain't that old, or like I tell people, my agents to call me Mr. McDaniel. It feels so authoritative. But but I can see this little boy, ma'am, because we know the story was
But you
Right.
feel like, even if she addresses it, and that's the way he talks to
But
her.
that's what his parents came out and said.
But look, even if
that's what
she
they told him.
addresses it, and that's the way he speaks to people of his elders, he's
Right.
used to it. If that
That's
won't
hard to
change
break
it because
that.
she requests that,
But the mere fact she said she would have threw something at him.
she should be fired.
Yes,
for that.
that's
She should be
what's
suspended
ridiculous.
or something. Look at her actions.
Right.
We're teaching children, but you act out. Look how you plan on acting out because stuff ain't going your way.
Oh,
How many times do you feel
some
like
people
throwing
want
stuff at
detox
kids,
lounge
man?
shirts.
I do. We have Detox Lounge shirts. Yeah, we've always had a whole supply, but Lady K, or the unknown, she stole them.
Oh,
So,
no,
yeah, she did. She stole
Her
a whole
mom
bag
is
of
on the
t-shirts.
line.
Oh, I love you, Kirsten. So let's talk about it was a trans teen took their own life at a hospital. Okay, so the child Kyler Prescott was 14 years old when he killed himself due to anxiety and depression. Prior to his death, he was referred to this Randy Children's Hospital in San Diego. This hospital is Rady Children's Hospital in San Diego. This hospital specializes with gender management, how to cope with those things, and he was placed on suicide watch. Yeah. So the staff, the nursing staff in the hospital kept referring to Kyler as a girl, and they would use female pronouns towards him, and that just pushed him over the edge and caused him to commit suicide.
Allegedly.
First off, he was already over the edge. He was on suicide watch. But secondly, I can understand how this plays out because when I was working in Columbus, there was a transgender in there dressed like a full-fledged female, but on the paper, his name said his male name, his birth name. And I would say it, and he would request to be spoke to. He'd say, call me this. I'm like, well, I apologize. I'm looking at this paper.
Right.
I'm like, but when I'm taking attendance, I have to say the name that's on this paper. I can't say the name that you request unless you get it changed. And he hated that. But that's just how it is. So just imagine coming in with a chart and they say, hey, Derek. They have to call you that. That's your legal name. They can't come in, even if it said that on the board, they had to identify who you was first before addressing anything else. So the mom is trying to sue them though.
Exactly. But my thing is, now, was Kylie a little girl? Now, Kylie is really a little girl.
Yes.
Trying to be
Kylie
a
was
boy.
a born girl. Yeah.
Okay. Because when I was reading the article, I said, well, I'm just not
was
understanding.
identifying himself as a boy.
Okay. So, first of all, clearly, the way I took this story is I found it to be sad.
It is sad.
For the mere fact that you don't know if the nurses was trying to be facetious, but it's an accident. Because I know even at work, when I have people come to me, well, my name is so-and-so, I prefer to do this and that. But like Miliano said, we have to approach you by your name. However, this hospital specializing in that situation definitely should have handled it more with care, knowing that they were suicidal. But
you also gotta understand, they have a legal obligation to them to identify exactly who they're treating. So in order to do that, you never go in and say, what's your name, what's the last four of your social?
Yes.
They have to
every time
legally identify that according to the HIPAA. No, they have to. And then when that person requests to be called a different name, then they use it. But they have to legally identify who that person is before treating them. Every time they enter the room.
Right. Every time you do. It's
no, I'm saying, I don't know about that mama trying to sue him though.
No, and I think the thing is, you can sue, but you can try to sue out of pain. You lost your child, and you want a reason. Anybody, you want a reason why. The thing was, as Dee said, the patient was already on suicide watch. It's not someone else's fault that this person took their life.
Right, so
and he's right. In a hospital facility setting, you have to call them by the name that is their legal governmental name. And then when we're just talking and just chit-chatting, once I find out that you are Sue, and then you say, well, I want to be called Sam. Okay, but every time when I check you, I do have to say, Sue, what is your name? I need your legal name that's on your band, and I need your date of birth. You need 2 identifiers. So to make sure you have the right person. That's just legal.
Right.
We did that. But Mike, what was you saying about it? Because I mean with you.
You said that the parents don't have a leg to stand on soon.
No.
I said they do. It's a treatment center
that specializes
in
that situation.
Exactly.
Right.
So that parent can easily say, well, you treated my son or treated whatever.
You mishandled my child.
You mishandled it wrong. So there is some legs to stand on as far as the lawsuit. That's not out the water. It's not a regular hospital. Even in a regular hospital, if they mess up, it's malpractice suit.
There are malpractice suits.
So
I didn't know malpractice suits actually that people win something.
Right.
They leave surgical instruments inside people and they die and they still don't win nothing.
But they have a case. If it's a treatment center.
And I just don't think
specialty treatments, and that's what's going on. Why would they be that insensitive?
But did you see a picture of the person? They probably wouldn't even sure. They probably wouldn't sure what the person was.
What is this?
Right. You ever seen a picture of a little boy?
But you don't laugh, y'all. The thing is,
I'm
not laughing at it because I think it's sad.
Yeah, it's sad. And the thing is, even in a specialty facility, and there are some people who are writing in and saying, no, that's not the law. Some of the LGBTQ laws have changed. When you're in that setting of a clinical space, and the thing is, it's just the mother's word. If she doesn't have proof of exactly what was recorded, what was said, she really can just go by. When he came home, he said this to me.
He wrote a
poem. You're blaming him. He was already suicidal.
Yeah,
that was the reason why he was there.
Right.
Who's to say that didn't continue?
He wrote a poem.
So the thing is, though, just because something happens, even when a person's, especially if you are not feeling well, even a person says something to you once, you ever been just angry? Not just angry. Maybe you've been sad. Somebody say one thing to you, and it makes you go off. You know what I'm saying? And it's not because of what they've done. It's because of what you already have in you. And so you don't really know how many times.
One of the things is I asked a question because I saw this on somebody's page. I can't identify it, so I always have a question. I don't understand how people choose to be transgender and then get depressed about it. and want to get suicidal about it and want to kill themselves about it. I don't understand that. If you accept yourself, why is it so hard when others don't?
It's no different than it's no
Mm-hmm.
different than a person want to be accepted as a man. Like
Yeah.
I want to be accepted.
Right.
They want to be accepted for who they are. And sometimes when they're not, just think about you want to be accepted as Dion. Well, I can't say you. Let's say you want to be accepted. I don't give a fuck. I don't care.
Right.
But what I'm saying is everybody want to be accepted. And if a transgender person wants to be, if I'm a male and I want to be accepted as a female and nobody else understands that,
Right.
that can send me into depression because at the end of the day, it's like, you know what? I just want to be accepted.
Right.
And to have that feeling of not being accepted by anything in life, whether it's a group, whether it's your sports teammates, whether it's your classmates, that feeling of alienation is not a good feeling.
It's a killer. Yeah, I mean,
Right. And like Tree says, it's not a choice.
And we don't know that.
Right.
There's research that says it is, and there's research that says it isn't.
Right. But for the person, that's what she's saying. The person says it's not a choice.
so I think, and like just Mike said, I think ultimately everybody, whether you admit it or not, we live life wanting and seeking acceptance. We want to be accepted by the person who we choose to love, date, and marry. We want to be accepted by our employer to be promoted. So I think life is factored full of acceptance, and growing up as a child, you don't get accepted at home. You're different. You know, no one likes you, no one loves you, so then you think that, let me go over to this alternate lifestyle because they look like they have a good time and they look like they love people, but then you get into this alternate lifestyle and you don't realize that it ain't that easy over there. Easy because life isn't easy, but I think everybody wants an easy way out. I know acceptance, I struggled with wanting to be accepted for a long time, but it took years for me to understand that fuck them. But you have to get to that point. I mean, because coming up and I'll just share this since we're talking about, I'll share this because I know growing up as a child, I did not, hell, I got a high voice and I did not, I wasn't that athletic. So I grew up where I was always cast into, and so I have certain traits that people don't see as masculine as people would want to project me to be. So I grew up where these people didn't want to play with me because they said I was like that. And I remember adults saying just negative things about me. And then I went through so many different things as a child where I did not feel accepted, wanted, loved in any means at all. And so at one point I questioned, well, what is my sexuality? And so then that wasn't the alternate choice, that wasn't for me. And then I just grew up, and then I went to the church, and so that's why I have such a strong love for the church, because the church, I went to this school, and then through the school I went to the church, and being there, it taught me self-love, self-worth, and self-acceptance. And then from that, you grow up as an adult. Even as I'm walking into 40 years old, I still have people that will alienate themselves from me because they question what is my sexuality. And then sometimes I used to fight and argue with people. No, I'm not gay. Well, just stop saying that about me. Why are you saying those things? And I know even different people who I hang with, they take slack for even being in the company of me because people want to assume everything that they want to assume about me. However, I've learned that whatever people think or project towards me, it's okay. Because whether I agree with whatever you're saying or agree with it, you've already made up in your mind what it is that I am. So I can understand this child being withdrawn, not being accepted, and then when they finally say, okay, this is who I'm going to be, and now I'm still not being accepted in a safe and guarded environment, it's hurtful. So you say, fuck them, I don't give a damn about that, I don't need to be accepted. But it's hurtful to grow up where nobody likes you, nobody wants to play with you, and you're always isolated by yourselves. I shared with you guys one time where I took sleeping pills. So from a certain age in my life, I took sleeping pills every day because I didn't have nobody to play with. So I would just go home and drink and take a sleeping pill and sleep all day, wake up for school today, do it all over again. So it just comes a point in time when you have to be able to find yourself and know who you are.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
You go ahead.
I want to say this. First of all,
I hope that you're sharing.
Thank you, Derek, for that
Yes.
Thank you for that. Man.
Yes.
I
So
think
what?
I've heard a side of you that the truth.
I've always been
But
transparent.
I'm just saying, you know,
But
sometimes
for some people they want you to be said. I'm sorry, I don't want to cut you off.
sometimes
But
you're very conscious about what you say.
yes.
And that's a side of you that I've never heard you open up on. And share that with us and everybody else.
Right. I used to have
I appreciate that. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. For
No, but I just felt like that was something that needed to be shared because I don't want people to
Yeah.
think that it's easy.
It's
It's not.
But that's
Because
the
it's
thing,
not.
though.
And you're just
Like-
growing up, just childhood thing,
Right.
just period.
But
Without that. Even
But
without that.
that's his story.
Mhm.
Every story isn't the same.
Right.
And every person in this world goes through periods in life where they don't feel accepted in places,
Mhm.
whether it can be at home, school, etc. I think that
Your brother
builds
knows
character more than it does anything else. But to be honest, like I said, I can even go and we not going story match. My parents were never around. Nobody was ever around when we was growing up. It was just me and my brother.
Look, you're Iron Man.
No.
That's why it's so hard.
I'm not Iron Man. The thing is though, like growing up through that, like I had the same questions. Like, why don't anybody love me? Blah 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 blah. And so many other things. But the thing, what it didn't do to me, like I just couldn't like. I couldn't even tell you. I just had so much faith and confidence in everything that I was doing that even as a child, when I say my parents bailed, I was in the second grade. So
yeah.
like it was just like you will be better than this, and it wasn't something that I said. It was something that I practiced. It was something that I did. It was something that I did deliberately. Whether I went to school, I didn't care because all my problems existed at home. It didn't exist in the school. I didn't have to be accepted. And one thing I learned as a child when my parents never showed up was the people who love you most gonna hurt you. Everybody else go have an opinion whether you're doing good or bad. And that was one of the things. It's all different, but we all go through those phases. And like I said, I always have questions. I don't think everybody's like me. I don't think everybody's like you. But one thing I always do, I always have a question for if you choose, like if I can choose to be whatever I want to be. If people don't like it, I could care less. I could have chose that a long time ago. And the thing is, any path that I choose, people can say what they want to say. I'll live in success of that, or I'll live in failure of that. At the end of the day, you have to say people don't have anything to do with you. We allow society to tell us what is success, what is happiness, and what is all these other things. And we are in the most pressed state ever, now, more than ever, because we're allowing society to say who we are and what we do. Period.
Well, but have you ever been picked on? See, it's the difference. That's it. So if
too mean to
you've
be
never
picked on.
been picked on or taunted,
Yeah,
that's right. That's the thing. So you can say, oh, it's this, it's stuff this. But if you've never been picked on or outcast, that feeling is still the same, regardless. However you're picked on, that feeling is the same. You don't know that feeling
I
because
don't
you've
know what
never
it's like to be picked on.
So you can't speak for someone that's been picked on. Tina, you said that you had.
Yeah, when I grew up, I grew up at a time, I'm 45 years old, proudly. When I grew up, when I went, old and fine, honey, like good grapes. Anyway, when I grew up in the Canton South area, and it was predominantly not African American. And so even though I had very good friends and very good families around me, and even the white people who were around me were good people, but I grew up in a time, in a situation where to be, not just to be black, but to be a dark-skinned black girl meant you need to know you're not going to be considered pretty here. You're not going to have anybody dating you. You're going to be, and you could pick. You can be smart or you could be funny. Which one are you going to be?
Funny.
You know, I was funny, and I thought I was smart, just smart enough. My friend Kara was really smart. So, but that was it. You had this block, and that was it. For any type of recreational life or anything to be out of that, you had to go outside of that, go outside of school. So all of my real friends, I had girlfriends from school, but to go out and like date or just to be able to be around other people and have social activities, we had to do everything with everybody from Temkin, Glen Oak, McKinley. You know what I mean? You did not have that there. And that was a hard thing for me for a long time. I grew up in an amazing family who loved me dearly and always said, you're very pretty, you're very this. But when you're young and you're a girl, you want to be considered as beautiful. And you want to know, like, I wanted to be homecoming queen. I wanted to be the prom queen or whatever. And to know you're never going to be considered for any of that. Don't ever even think about that. You know what I mean? And to be told, and it's little stuff that was happening. Like, I had my girlfriends, just so happened, happened, my girlfriends, they were also black, but they were all fair skinned. And so we would get off the bus every day, and the girls, other Caucasian girls would come in, we'd all run from the bus to the bathroom, fix your hair, make your makeup, all that kind of stuff. This is in high school. And the girls would say every single day to my friends, "You are so pretty. I wish I looked like you. Oh my God, oh my God." They'd go down. It was 4 of us all together. And they'd go down, my friends, and they would say, "You're so pretty. I just wish I looked like you. I wish I had your hair. I wish I had this. And they would look at me and say, "Tina, you're so funny."
That's not funny.
That's what I'm saying. No, but I mean it.
It was
But
how
I
she
mean,
did
but I'm saying it for me, even though somebody else wouldn't say it. But I said no. But I totally understand. But I said to my friends, when I said to my girlfriends, we got older. I said that always irritated me. I hated that they said I was so funny and y'all was so pretty. But when I said to my girlfriends. Right, but I was already
That was
funny.
her way of being accepted.
You know what I mean?
It was
and I thought, okay.
But how would you be
my
mad at
friend
that dress
said-
you as funny?
Because that's not who
if
she
you
really
fixed
was.
No, but I'm
be
saying.
who you wanted to
But
be.
that's who I was. I was funny. I was funny. I'm just funny. But I mean, I always was that way. But this was my thing. When I said to my girlfriend, when we got older, my girlfriend said to me, well, what they hated about, they said, "That's so funny that you said that. We always thought it was great they saw you as funny because they saw you as whole. They didn't see us. They saw our skin tone as the tan skin that they could have, but not as a person." And for my girlfriends, they felt like, no, if you ever had to wake up one day like me, actually being a black person, you wouldn't want that. Because that's not what you're saying. You're not saying that I'm pretty. You're saying my skin tone, which looks tan to you, is pretty. Not me. So, so it's just about, like you said, it's something in your mind that says you're going to hear what the person's saying. You see it in that negative connotation. So even what they're saying, they're trying to give you the compliment. For you hear it as half. It's not a full compliment. You're not really complimenting me and my beauty. You're complimenting what you wish you had, that part.
Mike, what you got to say? Because it's like,
But
Mike, what you got to say?
But
Because
that still goes
your
back to
stomach is
society.
full.
Go
Your
ahead, Mike.
stomach is
What's your
full.
comment on that?
I thought we was talking about the transgender.
We
I-
was.
We
And
was.
he fussed into his whole.
No, it wasn't that. So, okay.
No, we're just talking about
on.
acceptance.
No, we were just talking about how people can see something.
All right,
People look at a
baby.
picture and they just really don't get the whole.
Like, what the hell?
We
was
didn't
that?
we didn't
Yeah, kumbaya moment.
What
We're cleansing. We had a cleansing moment.
And it
Ah.
was wonderful because,
Ah.
but it's truly what Derek said. When you have self-acceptance and self-love, when you realize if you don't have self-love, you literally have self-hate. So when you
You hate
realize
yourself.
that it's not about the other people, it's not about what they said or thought or did, and it's not even the people sometimes intentionally meant to hurt you. That was not their intent, but you've allowed it in. So,
Who was this?
So-
Danielle Jackson. She
What
said
Danielle said?
easier said than done,
What is?
and I hear that far more than anything. But just because it's been done, don't mean it's easy. And that's the thing. People always say that, and that's to me that's creating an excuse. Just because it's not easy, that says it's not done often. Like where you at in your job, what it took for you to get your degree, where you at, it wasn't easy getting there, was it? Nothing in life having is easy. And
she just said it's easier to talk
I don't
about
think
it.
yeah,
She just
crazy.
said it's easier
No,
to
'cause
talk
I hear
about it
that
than it is
it's
to
easy to
be
say it
free.
than
I heard
actually
that
live it.
every time we
Yeah,
had
that's
conversations.
Yeah, because it's easier to say it, but it's so hard when you don't know what path to walk down
Right,
or what
right,
door to open to get
right,
you to that path.
Right.
So let's talk about this. Let's lighten up the mood.
Who got some Nikes on?
Yeah, let's.
Derek got some Nikes on. Hey, can we put the camera on these damn things? Hey,
These are
see,
these.
he got some Gator Nikes on right now.
You know what? I apologize because everybody in here is just simple-minded.
You got the Django 5s on.
Simple-minded.
It was a couple.
God
I
damn.
didn't have to move into
It looked like he burnt those.
Hey, did you burn your Nikes?
So clearly, of course, we're going to talk about everybody going simple over one simple thing.
Right.
So Nike endorsed. They didn't really. They endorsed him and they made him the face of this 80. Is it 80 years?
I think it's a 30.
30-year anniversary, whatever. And so they
No, it's
endorsed.
50.
It's a big number. It's 50. Hell, I don't know. I don't wear sneakers.
50.
They endorsed Colin Kaepernick,
Yeah.
and they made him the face.
Colin.
Well, girl, you get what I'm saying.
Colin.
So they endorsed him, and he's the face of the ad. It played first launch was at the Philadelphia game, but there's more to the commercial. You guys got to see the entire commercial. It's really thought
Oh,
provoking.
Terry said it's 30.
However,
I swore it's 50.
everyone is
It's
reacting.
30.
Everybody is reacting.
Yes.
Everybody is reacting to this endorsement. So you got people burning their Nike paraphernalia in their shoes. You got stores, everything is 75 and 50% off. Then you got colleges. In Pennsylvania, there's a store in Pittsburgh that all his Nike is 75% off because his father was a veteran, and how could they disrespect him and his honor? And then there's a college that said that they don't want Nike. They ended their contract with Nike supplying all their stuff. Then we just heard, what was the one, the store, the mayor in Louisiana bans Nike purchases for recreational programs.
Hold on, a recreational program? What you supposed to wear? New Balance?
No, I wear Avises, and they're really comfortable.
But this is the thing with that. The recreation can't purchase it, but the child can purchase it himself.
Ooh.
Right.
Oh.
So my whole thing is, I thought the issue was the kneeling of the knee, right?
Yes.
Colin ain't kneeled in 2 years.
No.
He has actually been silent. He's let other people talk and do all this stuff and rally and chant and do all that stuff. He's been silent. So now this man got an endorsement, and I thought America was angry about the kneeling of the knee. So I guess my question is, why is America angry?
I don't know me.
Why America is angry?
Hold on, first of all, Mike, are you angry? Aren't you a military vet?
Yes.
Are you angry?
No, not at all.
Do you find anything that he is doing is disrespectful?
Not at all. I think that if people want to use that excuse, well, we fought for the freedom for you to kneel. No, you didn't.
Right now.
No. Us fighting over there has nothing to do with freedom in America. I hate when people say that. Let's get that straight. That has nothing to do with it.
Right.
So we as far as the Constitution, what we say we fought for is equal rights and freaking I don't lost my train of thought.
Well, the thing is, what you're fighting for, though, is just what he's doing. It is for the people to have your rights, to have your freedom of speech, and to protest non-violently, which is exactly what he was doing. And the thing is about Colin, when he decided to do that, when the first time when he sat, he did not kneel, he sat down on the bench.
And it was a veteran that
And it was
told
a
him.
veteran, a Green Beret veteran who came and met with him.
Exactly.
And said, we want to know why you're sitting during the flag, when the anthem is being played. So they had a discussion, and Colin asked him, what do you believe I should do? And he said, I believe you could take a knee, because we take a knee for our fallen brothers. As you're taking a knee for your fallen brothers and sisters, and you're saying, this needs to stop. This killing of African American people.
Injustice.
And right, injustice, and there's, no one being, not just being jailed for it, but there's no justice that's happening after this is happening, and it's happening in grave numbers. High numbers. And so you just bring attention to it. And it started off that way. And people become upset because they turned it into a political, non-patriotic, and it was like, that's not what this is about. This is me just having my own freedom of speech, to be my own freedom to say, I don't even have to speak it. This is the way I'm going to do it. People turned it. Now they've twisted into you're being unpatriotic instead of being able to say that's the exact reason why he's taking a knee. It's because you're saying because he is a black male, he doesn't have the right to be able to protest and to be able to say, no, I want to be heard. It's again what we were saying about the young people. You want to be heard and you need your feelings to be validated. Not just feelings, but there is a cause here. Can we dig down into that? That's what we want people to do, and people just refuse to do that.
I mean, I think now you can see how big of a contradiction it is. And
Yes.
what I mean is because when Nike made Colin Kaepernick the face, they began burning and doing the same thing because they didn't feel like it was right. And that was the same reason Colin Kaepernick was kneeling, because what was going on in America, he didn't feel like it was right.
Correct.
So but at the end of the day, people kill me. Screw the national anthem. Screw the flag. That can't be bigger than its people. And if that is bigger than the people,
it's a
then
symbol.
it should be gone. Period.
Right.
What's some of the comments saying? Because I don't. Grab some of those comments.
Let me see here. Sean Maley said they are mad because black people are offended. The lives of other offending the lives of other black people. How dare them? And Thomas said she is so right. It was never about the politics. It was about people. Now we see people's true colors. So, and he said, preach, brother.
Derek was going to say something.
So here's something. Go ahead, Mike.
This is the thing people don't realize is that the flag means different, has a different meaning to different people.
Right. Yes.
Right.
My experience with the flag is totally different from what Bob Sanders down the street experienced from the flag.
Right.
That doesn't mean I don't love my country. It doesn't mean I don't love where I live. And people don't understand that. My experience may not be your experience.
Right.
And people, I hate to say it, but like the white Trump voters don't let people experience, or they don't want to let them talk about the truth.
And
Terry Lewis said he bought his first Jordans this weekend.
And this is what I was going to say.
And Nike's online percent went up 31%.
But what I love is their stock is really at a good price right now. I think we should buy a couple.
Yeah.
But this is my biggest. I think that our leader was very divisive in what he did, because Colin was kneeling well before he took office.
Yours, you voted.
Right, that's leader.
Donald Trump, I believe that he was very divisive with what he did, because Colin was kneeling before he took office.
Yes.
And it wasn't until he took office that no one really, they knew that he was kneeling for a purpose, but when Donald took office, he made sure to take the focus over the real truth and made it into some patriotic thing. So now America will never really pay attention to the true reason in the representation of the kneel. The craziest thing this weekend, I was in the store and I was picking with this woman like, oh, you know, the Browns is going to win. She said, honestly, they need to win, because ever since the Steelers took a knee, I have no respect and no value for the Steelers taking a knee. And I stick with it, because that was the first time anybody ever said that they was against the knee ban. And I'm like, how do you respond to that?
Ask them why.
First
of all, ask them why.
Right.
Why are you offended by them taking a knee?
Right. And do you know what that is? And the thing is, most people do not. People, again, when we talk about fake news, people take on what and then follow something they don't know. They're not willing to go in and try to find out, why did Colin Kaepernick do that in the first place? They're just taking on. You know what? He's just doing that and totally disrespecting the flag. Why would he disrespect the flag?
I think people are programmable. I think Americans have become so programmable.
And that's all of us.
Said
that can be all
the
of
flag
us.
The flag has never respected Black, African Americans, whatever you want. Anybody
Americans,
else,
white. I don't
it
think
has never respected anybody.
But I believe the flag is a symbol of our freedoms. It's
But
our country flag.
What freedom does it symbolize? Please express that to me.
But what I'm saying is, I don't believe, I'm not offended by the flag. I've always known it to be red, white, and black. I'm not, that doesn't offend, red, white, and black. Red, white, and blue. Red, white, and blue. I do know the colors. I'm sorry, I'm not Donald Trump. But I've never been offended by it. You know what I mean? That's not what this is about. What I'm offended by is that you say to someone, they don't have the right then to do their freedom of protest, but someone else does. Well, you're saying he doesn't have the right to kneel, but there are men who have the right to walk through the streets with tiki torches. You know what I'm saying? They have the right to do that. And we're all supposed to stand back, give them time, let them have a venue.
Their argument is they're not at work.
And
that's the argument. They're not at work.
Right.
You know, and sometimes people are also offended because they look at it as, we have allowed you to have, you are allowed to wear a uniform. That's what they think, though. They think, well, you are already making millions. What more do you want? How dare you?
Well, that's the most ignorant thing ever. They say America has given you this. I don't care what nobody says. As hard as it is to make it in the NFL, America has not given anybody who played on that platform that opportunity. So they made that themselves.
There was something Tina said that it dawned on me. I think that Donald Trump is upset because
made in China.
People are upset, and it's got tariffs on it, so we ain't gonna get no more. I think that Donald Trump in that portion of America is upset because they had a perception of how black people handle business and things, and we're not falling into that mold that they tried to put us in, because they think that if we would all come together, we would fight, we would riot, and they was like, see, this is what we're talking about. But what we've done is we've changed that mode of how we're going to respond and handle situations, and we're going to bring it to your forefront to say, hey, this is not right. We're not going to fight over it. We're not going to make all this noise. We're going to be silent. And because we're being silent, now we're being held, they're attacking us for being silent. Colin never said anything negative. He just was silent.
The other thing that he's done, not only has he been blackballed, in my opinion, blackballed from a job. There are many NFL teams, including it was the Browns, who also needed a quarterback. He was blackballed from his work, but as we said, you know, there was a time where Rosa Parks was, you know, shamed for sitting on the bus. And Muhammad Ali was shamed for not fighting for the country. And, you know, people have, Martin Luther King was shamed and they were told, oh, how horrible he is for marching. So he's making a stand, and that's what this is about. I'm making a stand on what I believed in. But you're telling me I'm wrong to do that, but you're allowed to make a stand on what you believe in.
Silence is deadly.
You know, that's not okay.
I'm glad I'm glad he did it.
Yeah.
I'm glad Trump, in a way, I'm kind of glad Trump is
He
president.
exposed it.
Because what they have done is really expose America what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
The people that are saying you shouldn't have kneeled, I classify them as people that ignore the history of this country.
Right.
Don't care where this country is going unless it benefits them and their own agenda. Don't care nothing about us. That's the people on this side that says, you know what, he shouldn't be kneeling. And I think as time is going on, it's more people coming saying, you know what, I respect him and I see why he's kneeling. But this is what I don't want to happen. You have Nike. I don't want other companies to look at Nike and look at their business model and try to profit off of, because you seen Ford came out and said, yeah, well, you know,
they support the kneelers.
We support, we understand whatever the statement that they said. Ford has never done anything in the black community.
Oh, absolutely.
Nike gets a pass because Nike has done things.
There's a lot of black folks that work for Ford.
But hold on.
I'm just saying. It's okay.
That's to help them. But hold on.
Okay,
But one of the things they did up on them talking about them getting Colin Kaepernick to do that. One of the things is they also show how much the black dollar spent. So that's why Ford jumped on. Like, if they're spending 1.5 trillion, I want some of that money.
But the other thing is, one thing also, I think what you're saying is really good, because it's not only about the other half who is against him. It's also about the people who are for him. Some people needed to wake up. You know, there are some people also, especially some young people who needed to be able to see we don't have to fight our way out of. Because, you know, there's been these crimes and people, you know, these young people, they're killed and they're laying in the street. Then the first thing people start doing is tearing up their own neighborhood. You know, now you got these white kids, they're tearing up, they're burning their shoes. But I'm seeing a little clip, okay, of that. But when it would be like riots in the street, you would see it all over every channel and doing this and that, because they like to see you acting like a buffoon and acting like an animal. But the thing is, people are saying, like, you know, maybe I don't have to tear up all my stuff because I could make a stand too. So it is something, and he's also been able to raise money this whole time while he's not been working. He's been able to, but not just from his own. He's been able to take money, and he created a fund where he does half the money and someone else matches him, and then they send that money to different causes for youth. And so it is going. And so it's really good. I mean, that's good. The other thing is people try to pull in like...
Get the comments, because there's a lot of big, thick comments. Terry King did something long. I don't have my phone today, so I can't see the comments.
Yes, we do.
Okay, Latrice says, let's not get it twisted. Nike made this move for operating margin and not social justice. But I'm cool with it.
I do.
Well, I think it's both.
It's business. When it's all said and done,
but let's just say Nike kind of been that way since Jordan.
Right, it's not like Wranglers wouldn't got him.
When Jordan came out.
Right, it's not like Wrangler jeans wouldn't got him. You're like, whoa, what the heck?
But listen, but see, what you have to understand is Nike also operated its flagship store out of a Trump property where they was paying, $250 million to be in this property. They shut it down. So Nike has done their entire, they've analyzed and they processed the pros and the cons of this. This is a money-making, it's business. So let's not really say, all hell to Nike, because at the end of the day, they're still supporters of the other
I
side.
get it, but let's not
They're
look at
supporters
Nike
of their
like
customers,
Right.
not
Their
sides.
customers, right,
They're
not
supportive of their
sides.
customers.
Exactly.
Again, they donated a lot of money to Mr. Trump's
let me ask you a
campaign.
question. So let me ask you a
But
question.
that now a lot more just coming out, so they could have probably changed
So
their
let
mind.
me ask you this: do you think that they only did it for profit?
It's strategic. They really don't
Yeah.
give a
I
They
think,
did it for
damn.
profit?
no, I think that they also did it for social. I believe Nike wants to be on the right side of history.
I think they've always
And
been
I
on the
do
right
believe
side.
that. They want to be on
Nike
the right
has always
side.
been on the
Nike
They back
is
Tiger
sports.
Woods.
They-
Right, but
hold on,
Nike
first of all,
is sports.
When
and the
Serena
thing is
got
about
bashed,
sports.
they created that commercial for her, which was
They've
great.
Yes.
always been on that side.
They have
From
always
Muhammad
been about
Ali
that.
to Bo
Right.
Jackson.
Because
to
they
Deion
know what
Sanders.
dollar turns the
Well,
world.
it does, but they
Our
also want to
dollar.
be on the right side.
But
of
can
justice.
it be that that's how they always operate? They
Yeah.
wanted to be. They didn't want to be politically right. They just wanted to be right.
Nike don't even make shoes affordable.
See,
Well,
so
that's
this
what
is
Nike
the
shoes
problem.
are.
No,
with
they
that.
don't. No, my Nike shoes are not really affordable.
What's
to,
not affordable? Because we could go down and go and spend more money than we were spending.
But what I'm saying, because we can afford it. But I'm saying, if Nike really want to do something for the black community, no, y'all always want to go march black. Now I'm being black today, and y'all upset about it.
You ain't gonna own a pair of shoes.
But what I'm saying is, Nike's shoes are not affordable to the poor, impoverished black community. Those poor, impoverished black communities that try to buy these Jordans and try to buy these LeBrons and these Vapor Pros.
That's not Nike's fault.
Right,
It's
that's
not,
not
but,
Nike's
but
fault.
what I'm saying is they don't make anything within reach. So you can't
not
say
Nike's
that
fault.
they down for the black.
That's not Nike's
Hey,
fault.
I
the
didn't say
houses in the black,
what they
the
were.
houses in the black community not affordable either. I don't hear you preach about that.
Yes, they did regentrification.
No.
Yeah.
This is the problem I got.
Well,
It's like
say some comments.
Yeah,
Nike-
can she get the
Hold on.
comments?
Let him go.
Nike gave this man.
We haven't read any of
Okay, but Nike gave this man a platform. Okay, why do we tear it down automatically? Like, well, you know what? They're not down with the program. They're just in it for money. Why do we always discredit?
Aren't we
Right,
always
no.
all in it for the money?
I mean,
No.
no.
So why didn't Nike do it now? Why did Nike support them when
Nike has
everybody has
always-
banished them?
That's
This is
been
the
their
time when it's
business
going on.
model.
Oh, but what I'm
time is
saying,
right.
so why did Nike stand up and say, "Hey, Colin, come on us, come be with us"? Why did it take all
Why would
this?
they put out their
Because you need to make sure.
They're gonna-
That's why
that's
they're
why-
business. Hold on, that's why they're a business. They wait to the right time to do it, and they
Right.
felt like this was the right time to do
Just
it.
remember-
Elections coming up.
How
Everything
can
else
we-
is-
And football
right.
just started
Right.
back.
Remember,
And
They
they
had
hear
2
those
years.
commercials.
How long
Right.
has it been?
they've been paying him.
Right, we
Well,
know
the whole
that.
time.
So they've been
Silently.
repaying him on a retainer.
Silently.
Exactly. Retaining.
For the time, the benefit and
No,
profit.
so they wait.
So why
Why
not
not
make
make
them?
them-
I'm not mad about that, but I'm not saying don't act like they
But
all
what I'm saying
hell
is, why don't
Jesus.
people look at it like, you know what?
It's not.
At least whatever money they look at it, how come we don't look at it and appreciate the platform they can gave this man? We don't do that.
He's
We're looking
always
at,
got
oh, is this for the money? Is this for... Nobody appreciates
I'm not bashing it, but all
I
I'm
didn't
saying
say
is,
you.
And he's
I'm just saying,
also-
let people.
He's also still going through court and suing the NFL. So he needs this backing. He needs people to start to realize his real story. Not just something behind the patriotism. He needs people to really
I'm
realize
excited
his
about
real
it.
story so that it can help his
Yeah,
case.
But what we gotta realize
No.
is, Nike didn't just, why, they didn't just do this for Colin Kaepernick.
I
He
know,
wasn't the only person
right.
in the commercial.
Exactly.
He talked, he narrated it, and he was on it, but they had Brian in there. They had Serena in there.
Did you
They
see
had
the
so
whole
many other
commercial?
people in
There's
there.
more
Right.
to the commercial.
Yeah, there's
Yes,
so many other
very
people in the
much so.
commercial. So
The
that's
The
what
young
I'm
man
saying.
with no legs. And
Yeah.
we know even here, now that's a different young man, but we have a young man here who went and graduated from Massillon. He goes to Bethel, CME, he plays piano. He does wrestle for Kent State. He also wrestles with no legs.
okay,
He's right here in Kent.
girl, read the comments. What's that got to do with the price of Nike?
I'm just saying.
There's-
I'm saying
You
there
can't
are people
work.
who are working. I mean, who are working towards their goals. It's the
Girl,
whole
read
point.
the comments.
Oh, shit.
Ford's longtime commitment to historically black colleges and universities, this is by Terry Owens, continues with this National Ford HBCU Drive to Greatness program and contest that will donate a total of $300,000 to go towards STEAM initiatives.
So Ford does do a
STEAM,
lot.
which
They
is
always
the
want to do a lot.
science,
30 million.
technology.
That ain't nothing,
Right,
man.
LeBron donated
Not
30
to
million.
mention-
And they got more
Look at
money.
the comments.
Okay, yeah, and not to mention it's triggered these
He
conservative,
worked for Ford.
racists, and exactly that it is strategy is what Latrice said, and some people were agreeing with what I was saying.
Well, Terry
but-
King said something big. What did she say? I can't. It came on yours. I couldn't see it.
Okay.
Oh, he was saying as a retired veteran.
Terry King.
Nike
said-
was paying cap for years, Terry King said.
Okay.
What? Listen,
End of the day, yay, celebrate tonight. I mean, it's a big move, and it's a business risk.
Yeah.
But
It's a
But,
business-
they're going to be winning out of that.
everything is risky.
Because he hasn't
though.
done something wrong. He hasn't done anything
sent
wrong.
out messages.
They did.
They've always sent out messages
Always.
with the Muhammad Ali campaign.
But
They
even
did
with
it
Just Do It first hit the market.
Yeah,
It
Just Do It.
Even with Charles Barkley when he was like, I am not your role model.
Well, yes.
Right, yeah.
Remember? He's
Yes.
like, I am not your role model. Kids, don't follow these superstars.
Right. They're just the people.
So
Right.
they're always giving out those messages. So I can't.
Yeah,
I don't knock them. Hell, I don't knock the hustle. Shoot. It
I mean,
is
it's
what
the
it is.
hustle.
Yeah.
And listen, if you do anything in life and you don't do it at the right time, guess what happens?
It's a failed hustle.
I'm about to go invest in New Balance. I know these seasons about to go up. New Balance?
Shut up, Mike.
What
We
time
didn't
is
touch
it?
sexting, huh?
No.
We don't need to. Because I don't even know what the hell
what
it
is
is.
sexting?
So here it is, guys.
Please tell me.
This 17-year-old standout
It's
athlete.
8. Oh, go ahead.
This 17-year-old standout athlete was arrested and charged with contributing to a delinquent of juvenile and possession of child pornography. Long story short, he was dating a 16-year-old girl in Louisiana. He's 17 years old. She sent him a video of herself naked. He sent her one back in reply, like that's proper protocol. And her parents seen it. Now he has been arrested and being charged with a whole gang
It
of
was
charges,
text messages.
all through text messages. He's being charged with having child porn in his possession. I mean, they're killing his future
Yes.
by arresting him over something that everybody does. Children, adults, grown folks do it.
Yeah.
Everybody does it. I can understand if he was
Except me.
if this
I don't
boy was 17 years old and this kid was 8 or 6, which isn't the case. They're barely a year apart, and now he is in court. I mean, Louisiana is really pressing full-fledged charges for him doing something that everybody does.
He black.
Yes, he is.
And
He's not subject to the same rules as everybody.
We get that. He's under the Jim Crow law.
Yeah,
Right.
very much so. I mean, you can't. That's
But I
like,
hate for them to even be doing it.
Yeah.
At 16, 17, whatever, they way too young to be doing any of that.
What's
Even
the
though
law?
I know people do that, but that's just
Child
not.
porn.
It's
So
not
it's a
proper
law that
thing
you're not
be
supposed
doing.
to send nude pictures back and forth. It's
Right.
considered pornography. And
It is
you
right.
can't do it, period. As an
Correct.
adult,
so in
Correct.
It
general,
happened in high school.
but I'm
but
saying as
as
a
adults, we don't
Because
get
she's
caught. We
16.
just get put on social media. You know
Well,
how people get
it's
upset and they
because
put that on
she's
social
But
media.
you can.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, for some
No,
because she's
because somebody
16,
can-
then he
so
can't.
once you send
do
somebody a
that.
picture, they can do whatever they want to do with it.
Right.
Yes,
So-
it's
It's
second
theirs.
because yes,
So-
that's the whole thing.
So therefore, what's the statutory rape law? Is it because she was 16 and he was 17? Is that what
Yes.
the
It
pornography
can't
law?
be. He would have to be.
It's
considered
because
as
she
an adult.
right, but here's the thing.
Right.
It's because she was 16, a child, and he had it. So basically
So
they're
at
trying
17,
to.
he's classified as
No, he's
No.
not. That's
He's
the
a
whole
child.
thing. He's
He's
still a
another
child, but he has
How
child because he has child porn
They're
in his phone.
creating-
He's a child.
They're creating.
They created a law
this.
for him.
Yes.
Whoa.
Right. Which
And
they
that's
can
the
do,
sad
have
thing.
done in the past.
He's a child receiving a picture from a child, but because the child that sent the picture, they're making it into something bigger than what it really is. So I felt like this was
Random,
something that.
no. Look at her.
What
Go
she
ahead.
said. You know what?
No,
The reason why I felt that this was to be important to us is because this is the second time that we saw something just recent, and this happened, 2017? But this is something that we really need to tackle our young men, our young
Yes.
black athletes, because
And
something.
just our young girls. Keep
in
your
general-
clothes on
well,
and stop
no,
posting on
but,
your men.
But I'm cool with sexting. I love it.
I've
But-
never been into. I've never liked receiving naked pictures. It
No.
does nothing for me.
No.
But
That's
fine
you,
with that.
but some
And I
people
never-
like
and
that
I never liked sending
entertainment.
them.
All I'm saying is we need to make sure our athletes have a bigger hurdle to jump than anything, and now it's looking like they're using any small thing to take them out because they're jealous. The athletic ability comes easy to some of our children, whereas their children may have to work harder at it. So now they're paying for their child to go to school with the hopes that they make it to a D1, D whatever school, whereas this child is handed to them because of their athletic ability. So now they're using anything divisive to take our children out. So I think that we just really need to parent harder when it comes to that.
So they don't try him as an adult?
They trying to-
probably won't get anything. If she
Yeah.
sent the picture,
Her
and he
parents.
sent the picture back, their parents
Her
must got
parents.
paper
Yeah,
out.
they're pushing
Their
it.
parents
Right.
don't want
His
her to go
parents
down
are
that
trying to
long,
push the
long slope and never come back.
Right.
Oh, so that
Well,
like that promiscuous
I-
girl accused him of raping her.
Oh,
Right,
yeah.
I mean, and that's what I'm saying. It's sad
But
that
it's right. That's part of the law, and they can't push them there, especially in the South. They do push things like that.
yes,
What
Jim
racial
Crow.
bias?
Right, they
Jim
do.
Crow.
Yes.
I mean,
It's
listen,
unfortunately,
it's
but
terrible.
I mean, it's unfortunate, but at the same time, we need to be teaching our. You try to push for your kids, all your kids, your daughters and your sons. Keep your clothes on.
Child, that's because you don't
Push
say
somebody.
nothing.
we
Just
just say
don't put
that
your
all-
face in
we
it.
just say that all
Don't put your
people
face in it.
children are going to be children.
Heck yeah, ain't nothing wrong with sitting in the nude. Just don't put your face in it and anything that identifies you to you.
Yeah.
And then
So how they know it's him?
So at the end of the
Did he have
day,
just tallywag in the
it
picture?
wasn't him. It was the
Tallywag?
fact that he had her.
Or that he had
Tallywag?
her.
Oh man.
Oh, it was just the fact that he had her?
It was the fact that he had her video in his phone.
Right.
So it was okay for her to receive his
But I
picture.
thought he was allowed to be able
No,
to
that wasn't
do that.
okay
He
either.
can't. He
But
can't.
then she ain't in jail and she was not arrested.
Because she's 16.
That's why I asked what's the law.
Because she's 16.
So
So
17.
they count her as a
Either
child.
way,
They're
they
trying to say
He
because she's
should
17.
countersue and press charges.
Why?
Because they're the same age group.
Right.
What
But they're
law?
saying by the law,
I don't know what
17
the law
is the
is.
adult. Is what they're trying
No,
to
no,
say.
no, no. 17
That's
is
what,
an adult.
no, but that's what in
No.
Louisiana.
It's a violent crime. That's a violent. It has to be a violent crime. It
Yes,
can't be
your question.
something like
So a
that.
17-year-old young man slept with a 16-year-old. Is that statutory rape?
No.
No.
In Louisiana? Different
In
laws got
Louisiana,
different
right,
states.
it
I'm
is
telling you.
different.
But no,
It
only
is
17
different.
applies if it's a violent crime.
No,
in Louisiana.
no, I'm talking about statutory rape.
With statutory rape, you gotta be 18.
Depends on what.
It depends on what state
Yeah, it
you in.
does.
Every state is different. Like
Every
our consensual
state is
age of sex,
different,
I
man.
want to say is 15, 14.
Some states have 16 as consensual.
Yeah.
So what I'm
Ours is
saying
14,
is,
15.
so
Ours
if
is young.
hypothetically
But not
speaking,
down
if
south.
17 and
They
17
gonna
was
put them in a
consensual,
little
but he still would have got charged.
If they
Probably
were
would've
16,
fucked niggas
16,
up, huh?
Yeah,
they
they
would
were
have did
16,
something.
16.
They
So
would
how-
have
how
did
was
something.
my question is, how did
16?
they know the picture was in his phone? How did he figure
The
this out?
girl,
The girl's
mammy found it.
parents found it.
She was
How
jealous.
can
The
I
mom was
no,
jealous.
how can I get in trouble for what she sent me? She sent this to me. Whether and that's the thing.
Because you have
So
child porn. If somebody came
Child
here
porn
into
and
your
adult
house and
possession.
you had child porn, you're going to jail.
Let it
Yeah.
go on your computer.
No, that's a different
Yeah.
situation.
No,
But if
it's not.
But
It's
if,
in your
if he has a
possession.
direct text message from her sending that picture, I'm like, she just sent this to me. I ain't
But
never
you
watched it.
received child porn.
Right.
You have. It's only when you're watching it. When they same thing they say on Facebook, it's like when you're watching it, then you're contributing to child
That's-
porn. But
that's
if you
what-
don't watch it and you pass it, you're not a part of it.
But don't you get in trouble for receiving stolen goods? And hell, I didn't know it was hot.
He said,
That's your testimony?
I didn't know.
He like, 6 months. Now in jail.
I don't know. I think, what time is it? Because I know we've been talking a long time.
yeah, it's time to wrap it up.
We totally appreciate our viewers. We had very crazy technical issues today.
Thank you,
but
everyone,
we
for
prevailed.
watching.
We definitely prevailed.
There was
to
a
make
lot in
sure.
the news.
Yeah, we prevailed to make sure you guys got your show tonight. Our 1-year anniversary is coming up in less than 3 weeks. So there's going to be a big push, a blast, and everything. Miliano and Lady K's birthday is coming up on the 29th. It's just a crazy, crazy, crazy month of September. And I'll be going to Aruba, so
When do you go to Aruba?
very soon. Very soon. So if you guys want to go celebrate Miliano's birthday, we're going to Atlanta. So come kick it with us. So guys, we thank you tonight. Tune in next week. Send us your messages. We do have our swag wear available to you. Good night. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Almost
We'll
failed.
see you next Monday. You'll never find.